That a converted man. Hi, deconverted man here. How are you doing? Doing good? You doing bad? You just exist? All right, let's get it out of that. All right, enough of that. Let's talk about the thing called Skeptic, Michael Shermer's show. Michael Shermer was at one point the head of the magazine Skeptic. Don't know if he's still doing that or not, but now he does this thing, and I listen to him from now on again, because the name Skeptic matters to me. The word Skeptic, I take that's my label is Skeptic. And the way I view it, it's not the classical philosophical way of like doubt everything. It's like no, I don't think you need to doubt reality. Yes, you have to take into account that your view of reality may or may not be, trustworthy, and well, that's why we should be a skeptic. We should ask questions and doubt. Anyways, he has this dude. I don't know who this guy is, Charles Murray. Why I'm taking religion seriously. I'm Eddie Filbert. Hello, how's it going? And anyway, so they're having a talk, and don't know if he's going to hit this with copyright or not. I don't think so, because I'm going to be playing clips or bits of this and talking about it. So, but if he wants, I don't make any money from this. So I don't know. I'm not worried about it. Whatever. If he wants to strike this down, I'll only become more powerful. Okay, so let's go to time index 441 here to skip over the whole, intro and all this. See, the old guy on the right. By the way, I'm saying old guy. I mean, they're both old. I'm 46. I don't know. That's old. Some of these comments are great. Might read some of them, but they're like, yeah, you're old, and now you're facing more mortality, and so you're panicking about that. Some of the comments are kind of like that. It's kind of funny. Anyways, all right, check this out.
I think I first expressed this actually way back in 2003 in Human Accomplishment, that the Enlightenment was wonderful in many ways, but we sort of threw out the baby with the bathwater. Reason and evidence were seen as the only legitimate ways in which we can inquire into the world.
Oh, man. That pesky reason and evidence. Oh, no. Not that. Oh, reason and evidence. Come on. That's the only way to know what's true. Come on. What about all these other ways of knowing stuff? I mean, like philosophy. You can know stuff with philosophy, right? No, you can't. Well, I mean, but, it doesn't answer the why question. What about the why question? Fuck the why question. All right? But yeah, don't we want reason? Oh, what is reason? Reason is this word that we use, but it's a system. Like it's a methodological scrutiny of reality. And I dare say it's a skeptical inquiry. The methodology of science. It's empirical evidence, repeatable tests, and sound argumentations. It's revealing the world as it truly is, not what we wish it to be. It is looking at what we can look at and writing down that information, having other people double check that information, confirm that information, and then try to make sense out of the information. The skeptical inquiry of the Enlightenment should have been the light that broke through the darkness of religion, but philosophers made a comeback because people didn't like it. They were upset with science and reason and evidence being the only way to know what's real because it's fucking the only way to know what's real. And they didn't like that because it interfered with their feelings about reality. Oh, no, but you can't explain X, Y, and Z. Therefore, blah, blah, blah. Shut up. Anyways, all right. I'm a little irritated. Yeah, I hope you notice that. Just anyways, all right.
And anything of the supernatural was sort of out of bounds by definition.
Yeah, because the supernatural isn't a thing. Yeah, I know. It's amazing. Just going to go ahead and make that absolute statement. And I'm happy to back it up. Yeah, the supernatural isn't a actual thing. It is an idea, a concept we humans invented in full. No doubt about it. Why? How? Well, why is psychological, but how do I know that? Well, the supernatural is not anything observed or testable. It is defined into existence, not found and then described. Other things in reality are described once we find the object itself. We found a rock. We said, okay, we're going to call this thing rock. Here's what a rock is like. And we list off the qualities that makes a thing a rock. And we can get really, really, anal about that. And hey, look, the more detailed, the better. It's like, okay, this has to have this mineral and that mineral, and it has to be X size big, and it has to weigh this much. And if it doesn't fill those criterion, then it's not a rock. It's something else. We'll label it some other word. And that's ideal. We don't always do it that way, but ideally. So the nitty-gritty is really important. But the supernatural is whatever isn't natural. Well, what do you mean by that? What isn't natural? What? Can you tell me? And many people, the consciousness. That you can't explain consciousness. Okay. Maybe you can't. I don't know. And, well, then that's not natural. How do you know? It seems it's part of nature, isn't it? Nature is what we call the thing that is the thing that we exist in. That is the physical material realm that we're in. So anything that isn't in reality is what you're saying. That's what the supernatural is. In other words, make-believe. That's what it is. The supernatural is a word for make-believe. It's fantasy. It's not real. It's faith, not fact. Anyways, back to this nitwit. All right, I don't know why I'm so irritated. I don't know. Whatever.
We can get into this later, but I liked William James's use of the word scientism to describe what went on.
Yeah, of course you do. Yeah, we're going to invent this word scientism. I'm a smart little philosopher. Scientism. Screw off. I'd prefer scientism because actually that's a pretty damn good system. Oh, well, but not everything can be discovered through science. Yes, it can. Yes, it can. If you find something you think you can't use science on it, I guarantee you there's a way to do science on it. And for the few things that we're like, well, we can do some amount, but we can't get like all the way. It's like, well, yeah, sure, there's mystery, but that doesn't mean we can't eventually figure it out, which is what you're saying, appeal to ignorance.
And over the course of the 20th century, you had a whole bunch of things that we found. Again, we'll be going into this, but starting with the 1920s, when, to the dismay of a lot of people, it turned out that the scientific consensus on the origin of the universe sounds like a gloss on Genesis.
I think this is because I listened to this before I started this. Maybe this is what got me irritated and riled up and irritated. I said irritated more than once. Okay, you're an idiot. Just let's start there. Let's just throw out the insults so I can get them out of the way. Who? I would like to know who, because this is something apologetics, and this guy's an apologist, love to say this. They love to make this claim. People got irritated at the Big Bang cosmology. Nom, 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 nom. Who? Who said that reminded them of Genesis? Believers said that. What non-believer scientist said, I don't like this because it sounds like the Bible? Like, do we have anybody that we can show said anything like that? Spoken print? Anyone? Come on, give me something here. Yeah, right. I doubt it. I doubt it very much. Maybe you could find one person, but I really doubt it. But they say people, lots of people. Who? Then you should be able to name some and show me where they said this and when and what context. I don't believe this statement. But even if it was the case, everybody was upset about this. Oh, well, didn't they know about other holy books? Now, so Zoroastrianism, which predates Judaism and Christianity, has some stuff that perhaps was borrowed, stolen, from by Jews later on. Sorry, wrong thingy. So what's AI got to say about this? Let's just take AI. The AI overview, whatever. It's good enough for my purposes. Because, I can look deeper, make sure that this is true. But, all right. The Quran I'm not using because that comes later. Zoroastrianism comes before. Zoroastrianism, a holy book, greater Buddhism, whatever. The world begins with two opposing forces, omniscient and benevolent, whoever, residing in the realm of endless light. Oh, look, the beginning of the universe had a lot of light. Therefore, that book must be true. And then there was abysmal darkness. Well, yeah, before the beginning of the universe, it was just dark. Oh, man, that sure matches reality, doesn't it? In Hinduism, also predating Christianity and Judaism, there was a period before creation when there was neither existence nor non-existence. What? It was nothing. It was not existing nor not existing. I love that. It's great paradox there. But yeah, but even though it didn't exist or didn't not exist either, it's enveloped in darkness. Well, look at that. Before the universe, it was really dark, right? So then from this primordial state, the One, also known as Neo in the Matrix, arose through the power of heat. Oh, heat! Heat happened in the beginning of the universe. Yeah, the Big Bang was really hot. Oh my God! That must mean Hinduism is right. Oh my God! Hinduism is right. Oh man! Look how close that is. And then the cosmic fire. Oh, fire! Yeah, there was fire at the beginning of the universe. Oh my God! Hinduism must be right. Ancient Egyptian religion, which is alongside of and before Judaism, which predates Christianity, from the formless abyss. Hey, formless, that's what the Big Bang talks about. Before the Big Bang, there wasn't anything. a primordial mound of earth. Okay, that's a little bit hard. A lotus flower, that's symbolic. Yeah, but the sun god appears. Sun is light. Oh my goodness, they must be right. Oh, and it brings light and order to the world. Oh, that must mean the Egyptians are fucking right. Babylonian religion describes the universe as watery chaos. Okay, that's metaphorical. Obviously, there wasn't water. That's metaphor, right? There was fresh water and salt water, also very metaphoric. Okay. Anytime that is against reality, it has to be metaphor, right? But the ancient god Marduk defeats Tiamat and then creates heaven and earth from her body. Okay, again, metaphor. But light exists before the creation. Okay, cool. Yeah. And so on and so forth. Okay, so basically what I'm saying is other religions say stuff that you could then cross your eyeballs, turn off your brain a little bit, or turn down your brain, I suppose, and be like, oh, that's kind of like the beginning of the universe. Brr. That's kind of like cosmology. That's kind of like the Big Bang, right? Brr. Even though it's not. Because the Big Bang was a giant explosion. No, it wasn't. Oh, there was a lot of light in the Big Bang. Was there? I don't know. Let's look that up. Was there a light at the beginning of the universe? Maybe. I don't know. Life Science has this article about it. And it's like, well, yeah, but no. The short answer is no. Good enough for me. I mean, I don't need to read further. I'm lazy. I guess I'll link that. It's not a scientific paper or whatever. It's good enough. We're being lazy. Okay. But what the hell is light? Light comes from star, right? Light comes... So, but the expanding universe, would that be light? Or is it, enveloped in a... I don't know, man. I don't know. But whatever was going on there was not something that is described in these holy books unless you turn your brain down to potato setting. There's a potato setting on your brain. And you look cross-eyed, you put on your holy book glasses, and you go, oh, yeah, that kind of looks like it. Well, look, ancient people and us today, because we're no better in a way, recognize that light brings life. And that's kind of right. Not completely, but it's right enough to go on. So then we extrapolated from that and go, well, then they're whatever made the universe made light, because that makes life possible. And that the initial expanding of the universe may or may not have been very bright indeed, happens to align with our recognition of light being important for life, doesn't mean anything other than we got lucky in that pure speculative stance that we took at once upon a time. At best. It doesn't mean that God told us, hey guys, by the way, now look, Egyptians, I'm going to tell you guys, by the way, I'm a cat, and also I'm like this weird looking fox thing, and whatever. But look, guys, I made light the start of the universe. That's how it works. Oh, by the way, hey, Zoroastrians, here's how I did it. And he tells every culture this in different ways. And God names himself differently every single time. And there's more than one God sometimes, and then sometimes there isn't. That's totally how it happened, right? Or maybe humans just kind of guessed and we got it right. If indeed we got it right, which I don't know that we did, because I don't know for sure if there was or wasn't light at the big initial expansion of the universe. I don't know. I'm skeptical of that because I can't find a definite yes or no online from my superficial searching that I did. But what we don't get here is, where's Michael Schumer saying, hold on there. First of all, tell me who said that. Secondly, Don't you know about all these other religions that say similar things? And then third, like, even if we got it right, that doesn't prove that God exists. That means we guessed, and we guessed right. But did we even guess right? Nah, forget all that. Michael Schumer's just, let his opponent talk, which is fine. Let him talk, I guess. But it's just, come on, push back a little. Anyways, all right. Anyways, what else you got to say here?
Let there be light. But by the end of the 20th century, I think there was something similar to growing out of adolescence, that we had absorbed the good things from the Enlightenment, and in the 21st century, more and more of us have been saying, well, we've had blinkers on, and our parents aren't as stupid as we thought they were. That's the essence of it.
Yeah, I would laugh too, but I'd laugh harder at them. What the hell are you talking about? What is that? What?
Nice, yeah. Yeah, it could be, there's been this prediction since the turn of the 20th century that religion would decline. And that never happened in America really until maybe the last 15 years or so.
Yeah, you're welcome, by the way. That's us. All of us. I say you're welcome. I mean, come on, I gotta be humble. My impact is minimal, perhaps. Atheists, by and large, came out of the woodwork in large droves, labeled new atheism because I don't know why reasons. Hitchens, Dennett, Dawkins, and the guy I always forget wrote books about the same time period, and these books sold huge, big time. These were all big names, well-respected men, various different reasons why, and these books became bestsellers. This was, by and large, in response to an event that we shall not forget, 9/11. The terrorist attacks made by Islam against the United States, because Islam's the true religion and needs to prove it by killing lots of people. And they did. They successfully crashed planes into two buildings. They unsuccessfully were aiming for some other important target, but got taken down by the passengers, and so that plane just crashed into the ground. And then they crashed a plane into Pentagon. I was like, octagon? What shape is it? And lots of people died. Everybody on the planes died. Everybody in the buildings died. But I remember, and I think most people remember, the Twin Towers, because that was like the thing to see on the news. And I remember where I was, sort of. I mean, I remember I was like, I remember watching the event. I don't remember everything about that day, but I remember I was flipping through the channels, and all of a sudden it's like, this is like a TV movie or something. I flip the channel, it's on another channel, and flip again. I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't a movie. And that dread, that realization, this isn't a movie. This is real. This is the news. Oh my word. And just devastated. And calling somebody I cared about and telling them, what was going. Have you seen this? Do you know what's? Yes, I see it. I know. And so, because religion impacted the world that we live in, a bunch of known authors took to the stage and said, we've had enough with religion. It's time to do something about it. And maybe they were already working on these books. I don't know. But it certainly was a good motivator, because we saw what religion does to people's brains. Those people that took over those planes fully believed that Allah was going to reward them in paradise with however many virgins and whatever other rewards because they were killing themselves and others and hurting the enemies of Allah. They really absolutely believed this, and they died for their beliefs, unlike the disciples of Jesus, who probably didn't die for their beliefs at all, didn't get that opportunity. But these people really did for real. And for whatever reason, we kind of let Islam kind of slide to the side, I guess. And we're like, yeah, that's important, but Christianity is here in America. So that's what we're going to focus on. And so we did. There's very, very few atheist channels that talk only about Islam. Maybe a couple. And they really understand it because they're former Islam people. So they understand that stuff. I don't. That's not my background. I don't know that. I was Christian. So I find myself talking to and about Christianity more than anything else. Just like every other atheist, seems like. But Islam is an existential threat to humanity. And I don't know what can be done about it. I have no idea, because I don't want to hurt people. I don't want to put people in jail. I don't want to take away the rights of people. But I don't want them killing other people. I don't want them to tax people. I don't want them to believe this nonsense that they believe. But all I can say is what I say to every other religious person. Use reason and logic and empirical methodology that this nitwit is crying about. We've seen the result of believing in an invisible being that cannot be confirmed, tested, proven, verified in any way, shape, or form. We've seen that. People die because of it. We know that for sure. It happened within my lifetime. There's no doubt. If you think that Christianity won't do it, look to the past. They sure did do it. Nothing's stopping them from doing it again. Same with the Jews. They did it too. Every religion has done it. Now, of course, the religious say, well, but, the states that supported atheism did it too. They were atheists in name only. I mean, you can't really motivate people by telling them there's no God and no afterlife. Now go kill yourself for that fact. It's not exactly the same. They died for other stupid beliefs, but it's beliefs that should be feared. Beliefs without grounding in reality that we all share and experience. Remember, I held up my stuffed lobster and the precept nitwit didn't agree that the lobster existed? That's the sort of nonsense that we have to contend with. People denying reality because it interferes with their belief in God. But we're as susceptible because we have beliefs too that we don't question, and we got to make sure about that as well. Michael Shimmer, you should know this. I shouldn't be the one so angry. You should be. But, then he wouldn't have a guest, I suppose. I don't know, but whatever. All right, back to the nonsense.
And now those numbers seem to be flat. The declining numbers seem to be flattening out and maybe going back up.
But they've still gone way, way down.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're talking about church attendance and affiliation and all that, yeah. I'm speaking specifically of the intellectuals.
Right.
What about them?
Yeah. Well, you have that quote, I think, from your wife about, there's no need to believe these silly things anymore. But
yeah. So I quote my wife a lot in this book.
Yeah, I love that.
We went to college, and she's one who came up. I went to college, and I learned that smart people don't believe that stuff anymore.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Right.
I mean, the smart people don't believe in God and stuff anymore. Yeah, that's true. So So there's some time indexes here given by people. It might be worthwhile checking out because I don't want to go through this whole thing. This one guy, Jeff's an ideal. Jefferson an ideal? Okay. He's 23. Whoopsie. Jefferson ideal. Okay.
All right, everybody. It's
damn it. Well.
I'll
Okay, let's see what this is.
Odyssey and why bad things happen to good people. It's just you're asking God to be like us and stop wars or be nice or heal people.
I'll tell you something. I know that the problem of good and evil and why does God permit bad things to happen is of central concern to lots and lots of people. I know people who say that they lost their faith because of the evil that God permits. And so I understand how widespread that is, and I've never gotten it.
Wow. He's never gotten it. He's never understood that? You didn't understand it. Wow. Okay, so appeal to ignorance, I guess? You didn't understand the argument, therefore what? The argument's flawed or something? Okay, so it's not that difficult. A perfectly loving being, and love here, I think is easily understood, but he's kind of dumb, so I guess I have to break it down. He mentioned a wife, so I'm guessing he might have had kids. Well, let's just stick with his wife. We know he has a wife. You love your wife. Okay, well, what does that mean? Does that mean the following? You see out, you're in the kitchen, I don't know why I'm picturing a kitchen. This is what I'm picturing, whatever. You have a window at your kitchen. You're looking out, you're doing the dishes, and you see your wife about to cross the street for whatever reason. And you also see a car coming her way, and she's not paying attention. Do you drop everything, rush out, and yell at her, try to stop her, or continue doing the dishes? Which is the loving thing to do? Do 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 do. You don't prevent her free will and let her walk into the street and get hit by the car. That's the loving thing to do. You keep doing the dishes. She's got free will. That's the loving thing to do, right? Right, everybody? We all agree with, oh, no, that's the wrong answer. Oh, right. Math, physics nerd, skeptic, philosophy, we know what love is, I hope. We have somebody that we love, whether it's a parent or a sibling or kids or a spouse or maybe we just care about somebody as a friend. You kind of like me for whatever reason, and I appreciate that, Do you consider that form of love, which is, the word love is, kind of weird. It's better when we have more virtual love, friendship love, what's that, Greek, whatever that word is. I can't think of it offhand. Philios, what is it? Come on. Philia, just philia. Okay, philia. Y'all have philia for me, to some degree. And so you saw Deconverted Man. I'm streaming to you live. You see me on webcam. My hair is a mess because I'm too lazy to have fixed it before I put on the webcam. Whatever, And then you see a guy sneaking up behind me with a knife. Now, because you care about me to some extent, do you type in chat, watch out, or do you do nothing? Well, obviously you do nothing, because that's what love is, right? Oh, no, wait. No, that's the opposite. You type, watch out! Oh, my God! Calling the police. You don't know what to do. Right? So a being that loves, that cares about all humanity is what we're talking about. Okay, so I put myself in those shoes. I am this being. I don't know that I love and care about all humanity or all living creatures for that matter, but I certainly care about a lot of them, except for dogs. Screw dogs. I hate dogs. Okay? Sorry if you're a dog lover. That's your prerogative. I don't like them. I have dog phobia, whatever that's called. I don't like them. Okay. My flaws to the side. Maybe you love dogs. That's okay. You're wrong, but it's fine. Okay. And I see a turtle, which in the lobsterist, turtles are meant to be stomped on, but I see it on its shell, and I can go and turn it over so that it's not on its shell. So I do. What did but because why? Because I care about it, right? Now, I see a bug, and if it's in my house, that bug is dead. I will kill it, more than likely. But I won't feel good about it, and what I will not do is capture it and then torture it before I kill it, because that would be messed up. I'll just kill it and be done with it. Now, if it's a spider, then fire is the answer. But no, actually, I'll take it and capture it and put it outside because I don't, spiders, they can go be outside, okay? But I will not do that with a creature that I can show compassion towards. I won't not show compassion towards it. People found a butterfly with a wing damaged, and they took a wing from a dead butterfly. They grafted it on there. They spent this time and energy. They glued it on, and they nursed the butterfly back to health, and the butterfly took off. Butterfly's only going to last a couple weeks, but they did. Why? Because they care about that butterfly. Why? I don't know. People care about creatures. We tend to care about creatures that we find adorable more than creatures we find despicable and ugly, like cockroaches. The hell with cockroaches. Kill those things. But somebody out there thinks that they're good looking or doesn't mind them or whatever and spends their life studying them. And hey, more power to them. I can't do that job. But they wouldn't torture the cockroaches. They wouldn't allow something bad to happen to the cockroaches if they could prevent it, because they have compassion for it. Yet this loving God sits there, sees all the stuff going on, not just with humans, mind you, but everything that's alive, and it is the thing responsible for them being alive, and it made all of them, and it loves them, and it sits back and does nothing as they suffer and die. Okay, there's a problem here because it's not doing the damn thing. And you say, well, it just loves them. It can't do anything. Oh, okay. I can understand that. You love somebody and you see that something terrible is about to happen to them, but you just can't do anything. Well, that sucks, doesn't it? Going back to the trade towers. Many of you probably remember seeing the picture of the guy jumping from a window. Oh, man. Now, he didn't make it, but, that was a choice. And I guess you had a better chance of surviving that than you did the fire and the collapse of a building around you. People did survive that somehow, but not very many. And I don't know why I'm going like that, because it's not funny, but any of us that could have saved that person, I think would have. If we had a net, some mattresses lying around, hell, just try to catch him, anything would have been better than nothing. Something. Do something. But we're limited in our skill set and our ability and our power. But then we get told that this thing that loves all of people and all the creatures, loves everything, also has all the power in that there is, all the ability, every superpower. It can do anything at any point. It is not bound by time or space or energy. It has no constraints, and it loves us, but it just can't do anything as we suffer and die. It's like, yeah, well, you know, what are you going to do about it? So this guy doesn't understand that. He doesn't get it. That these things conflict with each other. That if you have an all-loving, all-caring, all-compassionate being that also can do anything, that doesn't align with the reality that we observe. Because a all-caring, all-loving being that can do anything would not allow for any suffering at all. Period. Not even a little. Because you don't have to. Because there's a different way that you can set up reality so that it doesn't require or allow for suffering to be a thing at all. Why do we hurt? When you stub your toe, why does it hurt? Well, there's evolution to explain all that stuff, right? Don't need to go into it. Why does it hurt if there's a God that made us? Okay, the God used evolution, but why would it do that? Knowing that we're going to have suffering that we don't like, why would it do that? It doesn't love us is the answer, or it doesn't have all the power that you're claiming. One of those has to be true, or they both have to be true, or the thing doesn't exist at all. Those are your options. The inevitable, logical conclusion of an all-loving, all-caring, all-powerful being contrasted against the reality we observe does not align. Period. End of story. I don't know why this guy doesn't get it. Hopefully, I've cleared it up for him. Not that he's going to hear what I said, but you know. All right. Let's get back to this nonsense. What else does he not get? Let's see. Thank you, Chip. I gotta. If I can find a way to message this guy, I'm gonna message this guy. He's just giving me all the timestamps to check out. Let's see what this is.
I call my. I'm not a doctrinaire Christian in many ways. And one of the ways in which I have shifted is I am more convinced in the past that the meaning of the life of Jesus of Nazareth is not just as a story in the sense that Jonah's a story, but that it has a grounding in historical truth.
I'm not a doctrinal biblical guy. Now, let me explain how I'm a doctrinal biblical guy. Oh, man. And then Jeff says the same thing. Jefferson, He's like, he assures his audience he's not a doctrine Christian and immediately begins to definitely spout unsubstantiated biblical theory. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Oh, what a God! What is this? What? Jesus didn't exist. Okay, end of story. I'm convinced Jesus doesn't exist. Now you might say, but deconverted man, all these. No, Jesus didn't exist. There's no coherent timeline of Jesus. So that alone is more than enough reason for me to be skeptical of his existence. Then on top of that, he does all this stuff that people can't do. And it's like, well, yeah, because he's God. It's like, well, but, like, there's no proof. Like, there's nothing there. It's a story. So, anyways, God, yeah. What else?
Bart Ehrman and others have kind of tracked the growth of Christianity. It doesn't have to be anything miraculous, just like a 1% growth rate over, centuries can really, compound interest can really accumulate. Plus fecundity, they have bigger families, plus missionary conversions. Jews don't do that. Jews have a lot of babies, but they don't proselytize. It's not part of their religion. But Muslims do. So, how many? There's 2.1 billion Christians now, but there's 1.45 billion Muslims now. So, so some of it depends on historical circumstances, but also just demographic features like that.
Well, there's another thing that happened, which is that at about the same time Christianity was spreading, you had the destruction of the temple, and Judaism changed from a religion of the temple to a religion of the book.
Yeah. Sure did. Now you worship a book before you worship a building. I guess. I don't know what they're talking about here. Don't really care. I mean, it was linked, but you let me down there, Jefferson. Damn it. I mean, this Jeff guy, he's just doing my video for me at this point. 128.35. Okay, let's check this out. I think I'll end here. This is a big dive. This is a super deep dive into this guy's nonsense, isn't it?
This is the problem of being too caught up in the Enlightenment. For thousands of years, human beings almost universally believed the opposite, that human beings have souls. That's it.
Oh, darn that Enlightenment again. Darn it. That reason and logic. For thousands of years, we used to believe in this, appeal to historicity, appeal to tradition, those logical fallacies. Yeah, we used to believe that evil spirits were why we got sick. Oh, and then that darn Enlightenment came along and said evil spirits are bullshit, and we started thinking that germs did it. Using logic and science, we found germs, and we're like, hey, these things cause stuff. Oh, no. We need to go back to believing that evil spirits did everything. Wouldn't that be great? Oh, God. What is this guy? What... So I guess he used to believe stuff, and then he was an atheist for a while, and now he's back to believing in nonsense again, I guess. He's like, well, but we used to believe in the soul. Yeah, and we grew up. Well, some of us did. Others, they didn't. They didn't. The soul or spirit is just a word for your essence, your consciousness, you, the unique being that you are. Okay, this is a reality check. Skeptic Philosophy, Mass Nerd, Mighty Philbert, whoever, Captain Desk, Answers in Atheism, Deconverted Man. We humans are unique in that the thing that is me will never be a thing again, at least as far as I know. I mean, if there's infinite time, I suppose it could happen again, but we're going to shelf that for now and focus on what we can know and not talk about hypotheticals. This arrangement of molecules is pretty damn unique. Your arrangement of molecules is unique, and that's amazing. It's amazing enough. We don't need to add more to that. We don't need to say that your atoms are magic for you to be amazing and magical and mystical and cool. Okay, you're cool. You're amazing. You're cool. You're a nice person. I hope and you are unique, and that's for real. And we can know and show that for real. And we don't need to say that there's something more to it than just what we can say about it. But we can use poetic words like soul as long as we recognize that it's poetic and not real. I enjoy watching science fiction and other fiction. I enjoy watching movies and TV and listening to stories. But they're just stories. They're not real. And I know that. I know that going in, and I know that going out. The religious don't. They look at their holy book and they decide that it's real. For real. It's not just poetry or fancy words. It's real. It really happened in some way, shape, or form. There's deep psychological reasons that humans do this, and we have to recognize that. To be skeptical is to inquire vigorously about the reality that we experience every single moment of every single day, except when we don't experience it because we're asleep or we've been knocked out with drugs or whatever. If you give up on reason and logic, there's nothing but woo-woo and nonsense. You believe in fairies and fables and fake stuff, and it is a belief. And there's nothing to take seriously about it other than it's a serious problem that we humans have to contend with and must find a way to overcome. But we have to decide to do that. If you are a believer and you are hearing my words, you have a journey ahead of you. And that journey is to accept that all you have is faith. Not pretend that it's anything more. Not say that it's anything more. Not make claims like this guy is doing. But say, okay, first of all, I'm going to accept the fact that it is faith and that the arguments suck. But I'm not just going to take Deconverted Man's word for it. I'm going to learn informal logic so I can see that the arguments suck. I'm going to learn some stuff about science so I can see what science there is so I don't have to deny it or not believe it or not accept it anymore because of my ignorance. I'm going to look into psychology so I can understand my own brain to some extent. I'm going to see what is real as much as I can. And maybe I'll be able to challenge my brain in this belief that I hold about God. And I'll try to do that. And if I'm unsuccessful, then at least I tried and I was honest about it. But if you didn't do any of that and you're a believer in God, the paranormal, the supernatural, extrasensory powers, aliens visiting us, lizard men, or whatever other stuff that's out there. You don't want to deal with reality. You just want to believe. Like that precept guy I talked to. He didn't care about my views. He didn't want to hear about what I believed or didn't. He asserted my worldview for me. He decided for me what my beliefs were. Isn't that great? And we have people in the past that wrote down books, stories that said, this is what God says. But they don't know what God said because God didn't say anything anywhere ever. Because God isn't. Or God hasn't said anything. Or God has said something to different people at different times in ways that are so different that they don't align, except for very superficially if you cross your eyes and stop thinking. If there's a God, it hasn't communicated with humans in a way that's comprehensible. Maybe it's waiting for us to grow up as a species and let go of belief. Maybe the real God is the God of skeptics, who only reward the people that don't believe in God. I don't believe in that God either, though. But I do have beliefs, I suppose. I believe in you. I believe in you, the individual, the unique person that you are, Robin Webster. I believe that you have the ability to do great things, that you will have ideas that I could not have, that you understand things in a way that I don't, and that you see things in a way that I don't, and that together, all of us can make this world a little bit better than it is right now. Because we are the only ones that are going to do that. There is no God to help us, just each other. Until next time, be skeptical. And Charles Murphy, whatever your name is, Murray, use logic and reason for the love of humanity. Don't throw it out with the baby in the dishwasher and whatever else because you believe in supernatural woo. Please return to reason. It's waiting for you, and it's much more fun. Believe me, we have lobsters and cookies. We might not have either of those. Be skeptical. Until next time, stay skeptical. Or else. I don't know. All right. Thanks for listening. Post your comments and all that. All right. I'm done.